Hola, hello, I am Pepe the King Prono Guy.
Oh, that's so f***ing cool. And that's how we completely destroy a powerboard on a Leader 120. Nice.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the channel. This is our second video in our three-part series, the Battle of the Whoops. This video we're going to be looking at the NewBeeDrone AcroBee. I got the basic kit. There's several kits available, but let's look inside and see what we got with the basic kit. We've got our invoice here. We've got a little mini landing pad, which in my opinion could also double as a mouse pad because it is made seemingly of the same material. So I think it's supposed to be a landing pad, but could be used as a mouse pad. We got a lanyard for our radio, which is a pretty nice lanyard. We got some stickers here, some big ones and some small ones. So some swag. Let's go ahead and move this swag out of the way because we don't have room to show you the rest of the stuff. Alright, so in this kit we get one cockroach frame. We get a carrying case, which is a cardboard box, but set up deliberately to be a carrying case for you. Inside that case we've got 5 sets of props. Those are King Kong props, 31mm. Red, I don't like red, but you know, I imagine if you put in the notes when you ordered it something like anything but red, I would have got something other than red, but we were just going for how it came. Got us a little plastic cockroach, that's kind of hilarious. Use that to scare the crap out of the wife putting it places. And we've got our gold motors there. And we also had our B-Brain V2 set that was in there too. As you can see, the box is made to hold your drone and all your batteries. This particular pack did not come with any batteries at all. So if you get this pack, you're going to need to get some batteries. The full kit does come with 4 Nitro Nectar HV batteries if you got it. So let's take a look here at the B-Brain V2 set. Now what I find nice about this is everything in one piece. So there's no soldering at all on this kit. Everything is plug and play. So you have the VTX, the camera, everything all together, and the VTX and camera just plug into the board, which is nice if you don't want to do any soldering at all. Now this is held together with a little clear rubber band. Now I'm going to keep that rubber band and I'll show you why later, because the antenna on the flight controller is more of a I don't know, it's more of a clothy, it's not that stiff wire like that you'd usually find on a lot of them. So we have our pigtail attached already, so we don't need to worry about soldering that on either, as I mentioned. And we have our VTX antenna there, and pretty cut and dry. The bind button, and you'll see here, I'll point out to you where the bind button is. Bind button's right there, and our USB's right there, and there's our 4 connectors for our motors. As you can see on the top there, the VTX is plugged in on the top of the board. And inside we have all of our screws and bolts and rubbers, and we have some rubber bands to hold the extra wiring from the motors onto the motor mounts to keep that extra wire out of the way, and it prevents us from having to try to wrap it and hide it around the frame anywhere, which is a little bit nicer. So we're going to go ahead and throw the rubber bands back in the box for now, because I'll come back to them later. We should just now, in this particular kit too, we did get an extra of everything. So we did get 5 screws, and we did get 5 little rubber anti-vibrations, which is good because these little ones, man, I have a tendency to drop these on the floor and never find them again. So having an extra one is always nice. So we got our gold motors here. I'm going to go ahead and pop them out of the little packaging. Now these are the shorter motors, so we're not going to need to cut the little nubbin out of the cockroach frame because, of course, this is their frame and it was made to their motors are made to go in there, so they're a little bit shorter in millimeters compared to others. Again, we have our blue and red wire set, and we have our black and white wire set. And as I've mentioned before, these blue and reds go on if you're facing the frame at you directly. With the front forward, you simply put a red and blue one on your right hand and your back left, and a white and black one on your front left and back right. And then again, even if you put the frame down wrong, you're going to be fine and get the motors in the right place. So let's get our frame open here. Super durable. They are flexy as hell, these frames. I mean, really flexible, rubbery. So I honest will see. I honest can't see me hitting anything and breaking it as bouncy as they are. So my technique, again, those fit in just normal. So my technique is stick the plug in, put it through the back side, headed toward the middle. There's notches in the front and back, so I just put mine through the back notch. Drop her down there. We want to make sure we split those wires when we push it down, so that we don't end up pushing a wire down onto the nubbin. So what we'll do is we'll get them, and again, these are nice and stiff, so unlike that QX model we reviewed, we're not really going to have any problems with our motors trying to pull themselves out of the motor mounts, because it is a bugger to get in. Again, I'm just carefully doing it and making sure my wires are separated so that we can go down. So we've got our first one in, front facing there. The front is that angled piece and the back is a square piece, so that's the front. So now we're just going to continue down the process and finish up these other three. Carefully checking the wires at all times, making sure that's it. Now again, remember, this is not the video to enter the contest, alright? I'll put that up in your upper right now. You want to go to that giveaway video to make your comment to be entered in the giveaway of which one of these two you feel in the end is the best. So what we'll do now is we'll put our anti-vibration mounts into the notches. There isn't a different side to them. You just put the slit into the notch, just squeeze a little bit and she'll pop in. Get our first one in, and then we can fast forward through the other three here for you. Easy stuff. Once we pop those in, we'll be able to set it down onto the frame, which has the 4 notches sticking up off of it. At this point, with everything aligned, we just go ahead and our VTX moved a little bit. We just line it back up and begin to screw everything down. There's no right way or wrong way, again, just as long as it's on those pegs. I found if I start slowly and catch the peg first, then I can pick it up, and I usually apply pressure to the back side of the frame because it is so flexible. You'll find that you've screwed down the mount and not actually the board. So we'll just go ahead and do that, and we'll fast forward through screwing mounts down, because that's exciting stuff. Once we get our board screwed down here, we can start looking at our motors and getting our antennas in place so they're locked down a little more secure. That antenna on the receiver being so, on the flight controller being so thin, it can get in the props. If you crash or something, it ends up upside down. So what we'll do is we'll just make sure we have that, as you can see, in a place where we can get to it later, where I'll mount it by the camera. And there's a notch on the camera assembly there, that frame that the camera's in, that you can actually stick the dipole into and snap it into, but I did find it pops out if we don't secure it. So we'll just get that in place for now, and then we'll come back to that after we do our motors. So on the motors, it is pretty cut and dry. All we need to do with these is plug them in. If you want to wrap it on the frame, that's totally up to you, but I'm going to use the rubber bands that they gave us in the kit. So again, there's no tab that goes into a slot with these, so you just need to look at them because the holes are closer to one side of the plug than the other, and same goes with the pins. So you just align that, press it down firmly, and you're plugged in. So we will fast forward through doing the other three because once again, a little redundant. Now, the price of this kit was $104.49. I didn't mention that in the beginning. For our comparison down the road, it was a little cheaper. Now we're going to take those little rubber bands they gave us, and we are going to kind of finagle your wires into a place where they're kind of looped, and then we will stretch the rubber band around the motor mount and the wire, so that we lock the wires in place so that they don't get sucked into anything. So once we get those on, press them down a little bit and make sure the rubber band is far down to the frame you can get. I use my little stick there to pull the wires out to make sure they're good. So we'll go ahead and do that on all four of these motors and lock down those wires so they are secure and safe, and then we can move on to locking down our antennas. So using the rubber band that I got with the board, what I'm doing is making sure my receiver wire is inside the mount of the camera lens, and then I'm looping around what's holding the lens in, kind of in a U shape, and then around the back of the camera mount. And what this is doing is that is holding that little receiver wire in place so it doesn't flop around, and also around the back around the dipole so that the dipole doesn't fall out of its little clip. Now you can use your own rubber band if it comes with it too. Some people use like again braces rubber band, but that's going to keep everything from flopping around when we crash, because we're not inside of a canopy here or anything. And that's what I did, and I've seen that trick before. My man over there, Tronage, showed us that one. Check his channel out if you get a chance. Now we can take a look at our total weight, and we can weigh up our props for our comparison. So let's bring out the old handy dandy. Yep, I finally broke down and got a scale so everybody knows their weights, trying to keep under that magic number as we go forward. We are at 22 grams. And our prop is going to be 0.3 grams. So those are our numbers we're going to use in our final video when we do our comparison. The last thing, of course, we need to do is we need to get it plugged into Betaflight and check everything out. And when I did do that, I can tell you that everything was 100% fully set up. You can add your name and make sure your receiver's on the right setup, and you're good to go. Watching them on a Facebook live feed, they said leave stock PIDs, so that's what we did. So look for video number 3, subscribe and like the video. Thanks, guys.